Welcome to Real Estate IQ Wisdom for Smart Moves. We will explore the insider secrets tailored exclusively for Silicon Valley home buyers, sellers, and investors, arming you to conquer the unique real estate landscape. So, without further ado, let's dive into this exciting conversation. Today, we welcome Peter Everhart, a former BMX champion turned real estate maven. From racing in California's mountains to mastering multifamily investments, Peter's journey is a testament to determination and adaptability. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their community commitment and for making this podcast possible. In Silicon Valley, navigating career transitions is critical in the Great Resignation era, with 4.5 million Americans resigning monthly. Mastering the real estate market is vital for millennials, where only 33% own homes. Balancing personal passions with practicality is essential, as only 30% of small businesses last over a decade. These challenges underscore the importance of adaptability and strategic planning for long-term success in today's dynamic landscape. Our host today, Shared Gupta, is a real estate broker in Silicon Valley and brings a wealth of life and professional experience to his role as a podcast host. The following content is only for informational purposes. Please consult a licensed consultant for your specific situation or if you need any specific legal or tax advice.
Peter, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Rod. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Why do you prefer multifamily investing?
Well, I guess a couple reasons I could say about why I prefer multifamily investing over other asset classes. I will say that I did dive into, or very briefly, I looked into other investment routes such as cryptocurrencies, the stock market, things that, again, I knew, especially when COVID was happening, my common sense bell was ringing very loud in my ear every day, and I knew that this was a time of extreme opportunity. But I didn't know anything about anything. I just knew that I had to take action on something. And so everything else, I sort of let the anxiety part of my brain take over for a little bit. And I knew that things such as the stock market, things such as cryptocurrencies, all of these other avenues, they're all great, by the way. I don't knock any of them. But I found a lot of steadfastness and a lot of groundedness in the physical, tangible aspect of real estate, something that I could see, touch. And the more that I found out, the more I saw that if I set things up properly, I could pretty much control all of it. I could control it where it didn't matter what the market was doing. It didn't matter what the government was doing. Real estate was something that I could turn into a fully controllable asset that I could literally, from A to Z, I could control the income that it produced, the expenses that it threw off, and everything that I couldn't control, fire, theft, insurance, vandalism, all of those other things are covered. So in a sense, I can also control that.
Right.
That was something that gave me a lot of peace. And at the end of the day, I fell in love with multifamily. I do get distracted from time to time with other investment strategies within real estate. Boutique hotels is really big down in San Diego, where I currently reside, as well as obviously here in California, the ADU play is very big, and they're all excellent ways. But multifamily is something from the economics of scale. People are always going to need a place to live, and they're always going to need a place to store their belongings. Another reason why real estate in general is just very recession-proof, as we all say. But the other thing too is it's simple. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's definitely not as sexy on social media as, say, boutique hotels or Airbnbs or all these other kind of trendy things. But I'm not necessarily looking to be the most attention grabber on social media, for example. I'm just looking to do something that can allow me to do more of what matters, which is completely not real estate related whatsoever. And so I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel. I'm just simply looking to follow in the footsteps of those before me so that I can then spend my true time, my true value time into other things that actually matter to me.
How crucial have mentors been in your journey?
Extremely. I cannot express that enough. Now, of course, there's also I've had all scopes of mentors. I've had the not so great, the okay ones, and the phenomenal ones. And it comes down to influence. We're all creatures that were really affected by influence, and we have control to allow who we want to influence us. And so studying the characters of some mentors, or the things that they preach, the values they teach, and above all, the investments that they teach you on, or there's also life coaches as well. I've had kind of a broad range of all of them, because even through my BMX journey, I had all the coaches under the sun: dietists, nutritionists, physical therapists, mental therapists, you name it. And I'm a learner. I know that I know nothing about anything. And the conglomerate of brain mastery and the brain minds is extremely powerful. And so now I wouldn't necessarily say that someone just starting out should go and fork out all their money to be a mentor, because there's plenty of free ones out there. There's mentors on every block. You just maybe don't see them as mentors. But if you go to a real estate meetup and someone owns one house and you don't own any houses, that person may be a mentor in certain things. Now, they may not be the most experienced mentor, but it's somebody that you can call upon that knows one thing more than you do. And if the roles were flipped, if you were in an industry that they were not, then you are their mentor, and you can teach and kind of guide them on certain aspects. So we're all mentors to another in that sense. And I see all the time people get caught up in this mentorship, coaching, leading thing where you have to be paying a $30,000 check to get good advice. Now, I've done that. I've written those $30,000 checks, and I expect to write many more in the future. But I've also gotten a lot of value from people that I didn't write a check to. So definitely, if you can put on your learner's cap and know that you don't know anything, or maybe consider yourself dumb, to take it to an extreme example, the amount of information that you will obtain and learn is tenfold what you could do on your own.
What are your current real estate investment goals?
Well, I don't put too much weight on goals. Typically, if people ask me, what are your goals? They're looking for a number. They're looking for a number of units. They're looking for a number of dollars per month coming in passively. Those so much I'm not super focused on, because I guess I have so much confidence that whatever that number is, I'm going to get there. And that number is just a number. Money is just a tool to help me to, again, do more of what matters. And so if listeners were looking for a number, I would say my goal is to have $50,000 a month in passive income. And that number comes from a lot of the vision work I've done, the goal setting that I've done, and what would it take monetarily wise for me to be living my vision. But more solidify that my goals are, who's the person that I want to become? What inner work do I need to do in order to become the person in my vision, to live my vision? And that's something that's a little bit more finesse. And that's something that really, once you're doing that work, it takes a lot of time, and it takes years and years of identifying things that trigger you, identifying the awareness of who you are, how your childhood impacted you. That's always a big one. But so I have a very specific vision. There's a vision encompasses all the senses, right? So a lot of times I'll ask someone, hey, what's your vision? And they'll give me a lot of materialistic things. I want this car, I want this house, I want this boat, etc. And those are all good answers, but a goal is very different than a vision. A vision is, how do you feel? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you hear? Who are the people around you? What is the trajectory of your life? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? That's something that is, very specific. And if we kind of dial in ourselves and say, hey, well, I don't want to be a person that has trust issues. I don't want to be a person that has anger issues. I want to be fully grounded in like who I am and the person that I'm becoming. To me, that is a goal. That is my goal of, I want to be content with the trajectory of my investment journey, with the trajectory of my life. I want to be progressing in all my areas with, mental, physical, relationship, spiritual, financially. And I want to be able to live in the moment. Those are some kind of goals that I'm always chasing. And I tell you, Sharad, from now, if you asked me that question a year ago, I would not even anticipate that I could be where I'm at now. So I'm very excited to see what the next year has in store for me.
Worried about the dilemma of selling first or buying first? TradeMyHome.com, powered by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, has the solution. With our guaranteed 24-hour cash offers, you won't risk owning 2 homes or being homeless. You can buy first and sell later. Are you upgrading or downgrading in the next 3 to 6 months? Text PAIR to 408-740-7400 for a free and no-obligation professional equity appraisal report. For more information, visit TradeMyHome.com or call 408-740-7400. Remember, at TradeMyHome.com, your home is sold guaranteed or we'll buy it.
What are your top 3 tips for new real estate investors?
My top 3 tips for new real estate investors, first one would be to find a mentor, right? And again, bouncing off of what I said, that doesn't have to mean that you got to go out and fork out a lot of money. I'm just talking about find someone that you can pick up the phone and call someone, because you're going to get stuck. You're going to have analysis paralysis. You're going to wonder, is this true as it relates to my situation, or how do I figure this out and relate it to my own journey, right? So that's for step 1, is find someone that you can trust that will answer when you pick up the phone and give you an unbiased opinion on whatever subject is at hand. So that would be step 1. Step 2 would be to treat your personal finances like a business. Real estate is a business. Treat it as such, and you will exponentially get much further ahead if you can learn how to treat your personal finances like a business. And what I mean by that is know where every dollar's going, know where every dollar's coming in and where is it coming from, and know exactly where you're spending every month. Set it up so that you can read a story into your life and know which levers you can pull to get a desired result, and treat it like a business. You have your profit and loss statements, you have your balance sheet, you have your asset sheet, you have your real estate owned sheet. All of these things are what lenders are going to ask you in your actual business down the road, and getting into that mindset of, hey, I know how much I spent at Target last month, and I know how much we need to spend this month at Target or at Walmart or on food. I was spending $40 a month at 7-Eleven on water bottles.
Right.
I mean, you can kind of think the impact that that could have on the overall picture. So that would be the second thing, is treat your personal finances like a business. And the third thing I would say is to try not to get caught up in the future results. Know that things are going to change, and action is more important than any book that you could read or any podcast that you can listen to. It's great, all your listeners that are listening to this podcast right now, and that's totally fine, but it's easy to get caught up on sort of what I call the hamster wheel effect of, we feel like we're being productive and we feel like we're making progress, but we're actually not doing anything. And the greatest deception of mankind to make one feel that they're being productive is to stay busy. So actually, less is more in that sense. And that's something that I'm learning myself as these days go on. That's a big thing. So yeah, if you can kind of incorporate those 3 things, you might find yourself making some forward progress a lot sooner.
How do you balance risk and opportunity in real estate?
Well, there's an old saying that you got lucky, right? I personally don't believe in luck. I think that luck is just when preparation meets opportunity.
Right.
And so for me, I sort of hedge risk and opportunity with those 3 simple questions, right? What is the worst thing that could possibly happen? What's the best thing that could happen? And what's most likely to happen? The way that our brain works is that we're kind of trained, at least me as an individual, I'm trained to freak out. I'm trained to, if there's a fight or flight response, I'm going to take the flight response. And that's something that has hindered me in most, some areas in my life, especially my BMX journey. But if we really take a pause and kind of get to the granular bits of, hey, what is the worst that can happen? It's not that bad. For me, I have a lot of flexibility and power in the sense that I don't have a lot of other people. I don't have anyone else that depends on me to provide for them. I'm very flexible. I'm young. I can do anything and go anywhere at any time. So for me, the risk is very, very minimal. It would take a lot for me to feel like I was not in a place where I could figure it out, in a sense. If I lost everything today, give me a year or 2 and I could rebuild it.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be a bummer, but it's not. It's definitely not the end of the world. So that in and of itself, that has it hasn't gotten me into trouble yet, but I would say that it's definitely helped me to take action quicker. And because if I can make 7 wrong decisions and get to that 8th right decision, the time it took me to make those 7 wrong decisions is probably the time it takes most people to make 1 right decision. And that's something that I've always kind of valued in and took pride in. And so it's very quick. I see a whole lot of opportunity out there at all times, and it's more so, do I have the resources to take that opportunity? Because the risk, in my opinion, is very minimal.
What's your approach to selecting investment properties?
Well, I use a few apps, and I have kind of figured out my process that I like the best, and that also yields the most results. So to go into detail a little bit is I'll build property lists, okay? And most of the time I'll start with a skip tracing service, like Reonomy, for example, is a great one, but I don't actually use those services for their intended use of skip tracing. I'll just use them to get the initial database. I'll use them to get the initial database of properties so that I can then go out and validate that database, use it in addition to my own database that I'm building, to find all of those properties that I want to call on. So to kind of go into a little bit of more detail, let's say, for example, Reonomy. You can go on reonomy.com. You can get a free 1-week trial that's a full access to all their features, and it's a very robust software. But to hedge against people like myself, they won't allow you to export, or they won't allow you to basically download any of these massive database lists that they have. So there's a lot of data entry there. I have VAs that help me, but I could go through and I could get 2,500 properties in a matter of days and have a lot of data on each of those properties. Now, here's where the work comes in. What do you do with that? Well, I like to go and actually drive as many properties as I can personally to see which ones physically might look like they need a new operator, right? And in addition to that, if I'm building my own list, I'll use Google Maps and just surf the areas that I want. And I'm into multifamily. So for me, I'm looking for anything that's 4 units and above. In the Central California regions where I reside and where I look for my properties, most of the time the AC units are mounted on the roof. So if I can find a roof that has 4 or more AC units, that's a property that I want to call on. And so I'll write all these properties down. I'll also use a tool called Gaia GPS, GAIA GPS. It's actually more of a hiking app, but they do have a map layer where you can overlay public land. They do have a map layer where you can overlay public information on private land, so that in addition to looking at and finding those air conditioner units, you can also have the property's name right there on the map.
I see.
And so you can kind of surf through, build the list that way. You can build your own map in Google My Maps to build and pinpoint and to kind of map out. And so you can visually see where's the bulk of these properties that were built in 1980, 1990, 2000, or that are 5 units and above, or that are only 4 units. You can manipulate the data in a way that benefits you as an operator and what works best for your personality. And once you have those lists, go on white pages, get the phone numbers, start calling. Now, when you're initially building these lists, it's obviously going to take the most amount of time. Right. But once you get through the first round of phone calls, if a property has 20 phone numbers tied to it and you can get it down to 1 or 2 phone numbers, the second time around is going to go much quicker to blaze through 2,500, 3,000 properties. And in doing so in that way, gives you a lot better results than what you would use for a traditional skip tracing service, because your data has been self-scrubbed by you. It's the best data possibly out there. And there's a lot of properties that aren't on any list. There's a lot of properties that even if you were looking on Google Maps, you're not going to see unless you were driving past them in person. So I try to combine as many as possible between skip tracing databases, building my own databases, and driving my own markets myself. Has been able to give me the most results and the most knowledge of that area. So that's just kind of the method and some of the apps that I use. There's many others that I've found that for certain situations they're better. But that by far is my quickest and most efficient ways to get property lists to find your next deal.
How do you see the role of real estate evolving in your life?
Well, I guess it's got to keep up with me and all of my identity changes and all of my shifts that I'm doing as I discover more about myself. But I can definitely see it evolving to be more of a tool and less of a goal or less of a lifestyle. The concept of using real estate as a tool, or viewing money as a tool, or viewing materialistic things as a tool to connect with the people I want to connect with, live the vision that I have set out to accomplish and that I dream about and that I think about all the time, and just use it to do more of what matters. That's what real estate should be viewed at. It's a tool. And I think that as I evolve myself more and the world of real estate evolves more, obviously with social media, there's a lot more people that get into it. There's also a lot more people that get scared by it. It's definitely going to get a lot more interesting as technology integrates more into every single aspect of real estate investing. That's going to sort of change the game as we shift from these baby boomers to the Generation Zs to the millennials, all of these new things that are coming to the market. I can't really say how it's going to evolve in that sense, but it's going to be interesting no matter what.
Thank you so much, Peter, for your time today. Keep up the great work, and let's stay in touch.
Sure, Rod. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much. And I hope that your Q1 2024 is just as successful as Q4 of 2023.
For the next episode of Real Estate IQ, featuring Mark Silver, the head of school at Hillbrook School.
My name is Mark Silver. I'm the head of school at Hillbrook School, which is a JK-12 with 2 campuses.
He aims to continuously evolve the educational landscape by nurturing a culture of innovation and excellence.
In downtown San Jose, which is serving our just started high school. So we're calling ourselves a JK-12, but really right now we're a JK-9, and we're adding...
Check out our full episode on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Pacific and 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube and Apple Podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast and acknowledging the wisdom of smart moves in real estate in Silicon Valley. Please share this episode with a friend, subscribe, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts at Real Estate IQ. Thank you to our sponsor, TradeMyHome.com, for their client commitment and for making this podcast possible. If you're considering buying or selling a home, visit TradeMyHome.com. Until next time, remember to stay ahead in the real estate game.